Welcome back to Off the Mark Fantasy, a proper start for 2026. And today we're going to be previewing the first of our three-part series of the AFL clubs.
Come on!
Hello and welcome back to Off the Mark and AFL Fantasy Podcast. I'm Mason.
And I'm Casey, and it's great to be here, properly starting the off season, really the preseason, starting it off right.
Exactly. We did have maybe an unreleased episode 1 that had some great stuff in it, but I just could not get the Spotify working and trying to put things on YouTube and Apple and everything, and we're doing it right here. I've figured it all out, so hopefully you are hearing this episode wherever you listen to your podcasts, or maybe watching this episode wherever you watch your podcasts. But yeah, today we're going to go through the first 6 teams of our three-part series where we'll go through all 18 teams. And we're just going to do some previews, give you some players to start thinking about. It is Monday. This may come out Tuesday, but the game should be releasing Wednesday, Thursday, Friday this week. So you will be able to pick some of these players by the end of the week. But yeah.
Let's get into it, man.
Let's do it.
You
So
got
I'm
the
up
first one?
first. I had the Adelaide Crows. So let's go through them. So let's look at some CBAs from last year. So Jordan Dawson was the main man in there with 526 CBAs. I see that continuing. I don't see anything changing with that. Saligo had the 438 just behind him. Probably the only other one I would lock into having a similar year again in 2026. James Peatling was 322. I don't really know if it worked all that well last year. It definitely didn't from a fantasy perspective. So, I mean, I guess he probably stays the same. Isaac Rankin had 245. I kind of don't really like looking at him this year. He kind of dropped off after round 8, only having under 60% CBAs once in a game against West Coast. Sorry, over 60% CBAs once in a game against West Coast after round 8. So I don't really see him as part of their plans this year, although he is talked about a lot as kind of a midfielder. Matt Crouch had 113, so he leaves them behind, having retired. But the main one that I want to talk about with CBAs and a lot throughout this Crows preview is Sam Berry, who had 277. So it was the 4th midfielder in line last year. So he's a 655k mid, and he really picked up at the end of the season with those CBAs. Kind of since Matt Crouch left, he kind of took his mantle and stole his CBAs. So I think, for the CBAs, overall, Dawson and Saligo kind of keep their good roles. I think stock's slightly up for Sam Berry and stock's slightly down for Isaac Rankin, all the same. Regardless, he's priced at 915k, so I don't think we're picking him this year.
Nice. Yeah.
We look now to the kick-ins. Mark Keane had 85 kick-ins. Josh Worrell, 60 kick-ins, and Mitch Hinge, 42 kick-ins, so not much to talk about there. I mean, Mark Keane's going to be the one who takes him again. I'll talk about Mitch Hinge a little bit later. I think I wrote him in, but he did have higher CBA kick-in numbers a couple years ago and ended up averaging 80 or 90, I think. So maybe watch to see if he can get some more, but I would say it'll stay the same with Mark Keane. The ruck contest, so Riley O'Brien was obviously that main guy, and he'll stay there with Phil Thorpe doing a lot of the around-the-ground work and backup rucking. So I guess expect him to take a slight hit from these new ruck rules. He's probably only draft relevant anyway. He's 953k. But Phil Thorpe is an interesting one that could get around some forward lines in Classic. His ruck pinch hitting is handy, and watch for if Finbar Maley, who came over from North Melbourne, does get some game time as well, because he can play ruck too. I do have a little section here for some role changes and whispers. There's not really much that I've heard at all, really. It's kind of early in the preseason. There's not too much that we hear until maybe very late January, February, so we might not have too much there. But yeah, thoughts
Solid.
on any of that?
No, that's very solid. It's very in-depth. Very, very impressed. Making me feel a little bit
Thank you.
not as confident. But hey, look, Crows I like a lot because they don't have that early bite, so I feel like we'll be targeting quite a few of them.
Definitely.
And especially for the blokes up at the top. So I like the looks of their top price players who we might even pick as our M1s, and the main M1 for the Crows, obviously, Jordan Dawson, is actually a real viable option, even priced as high as he is. But But no, you've
Yeah,
given us some stuff to
definitely.
watch quite closely throughout the preseason, so I like it. And the
Definitely.
Mitch Hinge one as well, I
Definitely.
like that as well.
Yeah, yeah. Well, so let's talk about their ins and outs then. So they didn't have too many. Callum Archie was the main one who came in, and he's a 656k forward. So he's probably the only one I can see breaking into the side, most likely in the forward line in a similar role he had at the Lions. Finbar Maley, who comes in as a 341k forward, could get some game time, especially as Taylor Walker gets another year older. And he kind of, looked a little, not out of place, but just I can
Yeah,
see them starting to move past him now. So wouldn't be surprised if he gets some game time. Last year's pick 22, Mitch Marsh, could see some game time this year, but probably later in the year, so we're not starting with him. He's a 266k forward. He's a 192 centimeter forward, so I probably see them doing what they've done to Curtin and Draper in the past with him. So we're kind of steering clear of him, I think. Pick 50, Archer Ludewijk. I hope I've said that right. He's key forward depth. Definitely won't play, I don't think, unless they have a lot of injuries. Indy Cotton, though, don't sleep on him as a 230k forward coming through as a Category B rookie, who some have said could have been a top 20 pick if he wasn't tossing up between basketball and footy last year. So he's
solid.
a dual code player. Yeah.
I like it.
In terms of their outs, Matt Crouchley's behind those CBAs, like I talked about. He only played 6 games, though, which is crazy that he had that many. It's just 6 games.
Yeah,
Most of his will just go to the already bumbling midfielders. Brody Smith is the one that really interests me, though. He played a lot of half-back time during the year, and 11 games. I didn't actually think he played that much. Maybe leave some of that to the others. But yeah, not much to look at for the ins and outs there. But on to the exciting part. The players. Let's go
yes.
through some of the relevant players. And for this, we've decided to put them in a 4 categories. So we've got locks, who are, players you're locking in your side, you're happy to have when the game opens later this week, and you're not really looking twice at them. We've got our watchers, who are kind of, just they could be there, could not be there, not locking them quite in, but interested for sure. Players you need to see more from, so just kind of like, yeah, maybe by the end of the preseason, if a role change or if you see some stats change. And then we've got our hell no players who you're just not putting in your side. So let's start at the top, Jordan Dawson. So he averaged 110, priced at 1.15 mil, and I'm putting him in the lock category.
I like
He's
it.
not quite the first I'll pick in my side, I don't think. But when I'm looking to spend, my eyes will go to Dawson first. So last 3 years, he's averaged 113, 105, and 110. In 2025, that was 110. His first 5 games against Collingwood, Bulldogs, Geelong, Freo, and Carlton, he averaged 112 against all those 5 last year. So expect him to go around similar to what he's priced at. But yeah, I think he's a great way to spend your cash. And yeah, I'm happy to lock him in at M1 if I have the cash to go there.
I like it. Well, that's very, very good. I can't see anything wrong with going Jordan Dawson, especially at M1. He's priced very highly, but as you just pointed out, backs it up. And priced at 110, I reckon he would go about 110. I don't know if he'll go much over,
Yeah,
if anything, but I don't see him going much lower than that either. So I reckon he's priced about where we hit as well. So can't see too much wrong with that,
yeah,
especially when we're looking for teams with no buys, right, just to get us through this first half of the season.
exactly. Yeah. Yeah, that's almost where you get your value from, is not from getting him underpriced or hoping that he'll go over what he averaged last year. It's that no early buy that, you are genuinely getting 5 games out of him.
Yeah,
On to the next one, though. Rory Laird, he's a defender, averaged 92.6 last year. He's 971k this year. I'm putting him on the watch. So with Brody Smith gone, he could have a little upside, but I don't think he was really struggling anyway. And I wonder if most of that ball just goes to, everyone kind of gets 10% and it's not really that much. He's a pretty reliable 90 guy, price at 92. It's pretty set. The 2 finals, though, are interesting. He had 26 and 29% CBAs with 82 and 118 in those 2 games as scores. So maybe he could be moved back into some midfield time. I think I'm just keeping an eye on him, but probably a no for our starting sides. But yeah, just a watch on him as to where his role sits.
solid.
Riley O'Brien in the ruck, so he averaged 90.9. He's 953k. I'm putting him in the hell no. I just wouldn't be taking a hit on him with the new ruck rules. So if you were looking there as a ruck option, I would not go there. Isaac Rankin, who comes in at 915k with an average of 87 last year. He's a mid forward. I need to see more from Rankin.
Yeah,
I just need to see him have a guaranteed 50% mid time most weeks. So he averaged 97 when he got 50% or more CBAs, and 91 when he got 40% or more CBAs. So it's literally just the more CBAs he gets, the better he scores. So if he can get 50% most weeks and average that, closer to 100, price at 87, I think is a bit of value, but I don't see him doing that. And with the suspension round one as well, it's pretty much like he's got an early bye. So I'm not keen to go there. Do you have any thoughts on Isaac Rankin? He's a pretty popular one. I've
Yeah.
seen his name go around a fair bit.
Well, I just had a little bit of that. We both started with him last year, didn't we?
Yeah,
He turned out to be. It was we went him over Riley Sanders, I believe it was, when most people went him, and I think it was a good
yeah,
pick
I
at
think
the
so.
start of the year. But he has been classed as hard watch ranking. Like he is certainly a hard watch, and a bloke like that, I definitely think watch list is the perfect spot for him because he could, and it's not really breakout season because he's been a pretty gun for the Crows, but like he could have a fantasy, as in like gets the CBAs and has a breakout fantasy season, or averaging high 90s, maybe even hundreds, if he gets those CBAs,
Yeah,
which he possibly could do. I reckon that he's got this talent for it. I don't see why they wouldn't put him in there, but it's just got to wait and see what the
exactly.
Crows do, which is a lot of the preseason is that, but. Well, I do like it, and I like him not as a lock, but as the watch list is exactly where you put him. So that's what I
Yeah.
think.
Yeah, well, I mentioned earlier that after round 8, he kind of dropped off in the CBAs. So after round 8, so from rounds 9 to 23, he only had 2 games where he scored over 100, and that was with 25 and 62% CBAs. So again, it's literally just CBAs that I'm watching for.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think I just need to see that. I need to see that. And a lot of people are going to be throwing his name around because we have these thin forward lines. And another name that I want to throw around that might be, I don't know if I've heard him that much, is Riley Thilthorpe. 870k, I'm putting him on the watch list. So I don't need to see much
Okay.
more from him. I feel like he'll just be there again. And in a thin forward line, is that what we want? Are we willing to just kind of pay for guys that are going to be there? You know, I could see him being top 10. I could maybe see him cracking the top 6.
Yeah.
Maybe that's
Wow.
a bit of a stretch, but maybe there are better guys to buy priced at 82. I haven't really had a proper look. It's hard when the game's not out, but I think you'd be getting what you paid for. He'll be playing that second ruck role. If Taylor Walker takes a bit of a step back this year, he's going to have a bit more on his plate, a bit more to score. My only concern, and this kind of goes for the whole team, is they were minor premiers, so I don't know if they're going to follow that up again this year. Are they going to win as many games? Are these players all going to take a 5 to 10% hit? I don't know, but I'm just throwing Thilthorpe's name in the bucket as a watch, see if he can kind of excite anyone this preseason.
Yeah. There's always a bit of excitement when it comes to key forwards, and we all hope they can be the best. But that's the thing with the key forwards is you never know. Like we saw this
Mm,
with Sam Darcy last year because a lot of people were
yeah,
picking him right at the end. It always takes one bad game for it to turn into a not so good pick. So I I'm taking. I think I'm gonna have to set some rules for myself about because if I had it, Jeremy Cameron would be on my team, right? Phil Thorpe would be on my team,
yeah,
like all that sort of stuff. Like my very first ever fantasy team, I just stacked it with all the full forwards. Like back in the day, it was like Justin Westhoff, like Gold Coast Charlie Dixon,
oh,
Levi Casbolt, like
what a
whole
name, Justin Westhoff.
yeah. It's a whole bunch of blokes in my first ever fantasy team, just like, and I've kind of learnt from them as we all have from our first fantasy team. But yeah, full forwards and like key forwards, they do surprise me. So you could see like if he's averaged 82, it'd be interesting to see if that's consistent wise because like it could be one game he gets 150 and he kicks 10 goals and the next game he kicks a goal and scores a measly 40, like up and
Yeah.
downs, which are good. They average out in the end, but it's really if you want to play the game that way, I suppose.
Yeah, so looking at his year last year, his first 4 games, he had 82, 91, 98, 105. He did have 3, 3, 3, and 5 goals in that time. He's had a 42 in there, a 44, a 66, a 61. So some lowish scores, but he kind of 60s like his floor with some really bad games in the 40s where he just doesn't kick goals. But I think the second ruck time helps him a lot. He kind of sits around that 15 to 25% ruck contests with O'Brien.
Yeah, right.
And I mean, again, we don't know how these new rules are going to work. Maybe it's he'll benefit from that a little bit, being able to be around the ground a bit more. But yeah, I don't know. I'm interested, is all I'll say.
Yeah, no, I like it.
Well, another guy I'm interested in the midfield, he's 868k, averaged 82 last year, is Jake Saligo, and I'm just as excited about him as I am Thilthorpe. So I've put him on the watch list. I really don't mind this pick if we can just see a little bit more development. So from 2022 to 2024, he improved by 9 points a year. So every year he went up his average. He took his average up 9 points.
Yeah, wow.
From 58 in 2022 to 76 in 2024. So last year went at 81, only improving by 5 points, but was second behind Dawson in that CBA mix. And as I said before when we were talking CBAs, he's probably the only other main guy in there. If he was priced at like 75, maybe I'd be a bit more hot on him because 83 is just a little bit risky. But I could see him going 90 plus this year, so a watch for sure. I mean, that's only 8 points, but still. He averaged 87 across the 10 games last year where he had over 70% CBAs, so that adds 5 points to his average. And he averaged 82 across 18 games with over 60% CBAs, which is what his average was anyway. But he's really, really confusing. So he had 125 off 51% CBAs, 121 off 44% CBAs, 101 off 49% CBAs. Like he can score without the CBAs, but he also can he just drops a lot of stinkers. And it's why I'm a little bit worried about picking him. But look, if we can see the development, I mean, he's in his 5th year this year?
Yeah.
This is usually, when he'd want to be breaking out, age 23. But yeah, I mean, had a 54 with 64% CBAs, had a 43 with 69% CBAs, had a 56 with 72% CBAs, a 52 with 59. Like, it's just, there's a few stinkers in there that really don't have an explanation, which is just what worries me a little bit. But I'm looking for some natural development, and if he can put some nice games together, maybe he's someone that we can, target if he hasn't lost too much of that value.
I like it. Yeah, a lot of people were picking Saligo last year, late or mid-year, just as a try to point a difference player to see if they could grab something from him. Didn't quite perform, so some people might have the bit of the dark cloud over Saligo, but I reckon he's definitely someone to keep an eye on.
Definitely, yeah. Well, I'm just watching him. He's on the watch list.
Yeah.
But these next couple of guys are kind of they're stretches. So Lockie Scholl we've got here next. I know you might laugh at first when I mentioned that name.
He only played like
relevant players,
5 games, didn't he?
So he did play 5 games, but so he averaged 53. He's priced at 72 because he was injured. But I'm just putting him here because 2024, 2 years ago, he averaged 85.3. So that would put him 13 points undervalued. But obviously the 5 games this year. I mean, if we can be sure he's getting a spot, he could be good.
Yeah.
He's priced 20 points above his average, although that is off 5 games. Look, I'd probably say no. I'm putting him in the Seymour category. I'm not putting him quite in the hell no, because if we can see that he's going to play, most games, he could be some value. But again, straight mid, 761k is a bit of an awful price to be looking for value at. I don't know if we're picking him, but just putting the name there, and I'll just, like I mentioned before, I'll put Mitch Hinge there as well at 704k. In the Seymour category, I just watch his kick-in stats is basically it. So 2024, he averaged 3.3 kick-ins a game for an 82.7 average. 2025, he averaged 1.75 kick-ins for an average of 67. So his kick-ins almost halved per game. 2024, he was still second to Keane, but way ahead of Worrell, who's now jumped him with his natural development. So we just need to see if Worrell's jumped him for good or if it was a last year thing. We need to see if he can get back to the 2024 numbers. If so, he could be like 15 points undervalued. But even then, it's still an average of under 90. I don't know if we're shopping there for defenders. We want guys to be hitting kind of that number if they are undervalued. But, just to watch on him. Just to watch. I did own him in draft not that long ago, and he's not terrible, but I don't know. He just isn't great without being terrible.
Fair enough.
So the next guy I've got here, it's kind of a null point now. Dan Curtin. So price at 65, 684k. It's 12:51 on Monday right now, South Australian time. I reckon 11:40. So a little bit before we started, I saw on Twitter that he'd been stretched off the ground. So sucks for him a lot. I don't know if it's an ACL. They're saying knee injury. I guess we'll find out in the coming days. But I mean, we're not looking at him for round 1 anymore. I don't think, unless he, somehow avoids any, internal damage or anything. But everyone was talking about him, whether he gets midfield time, whether they're going to move him out of the forward line. I mean, if they were going to move him into the midfield, he's value at 65. If he has the whole year out, he's going to be super value next year, I guess. So I did do a little bit of research. He averaged 81 in a 3-game stretch, having some midfield time. But they were good days with a couple of goals in there. I actually think that he's best on the wing from what I've seen from him, and that's where they like to play him. So, yeah, null point now because he's kind of injured. But, yeah, I had him on the list, so might as well give you some info on him. Another guy that I have on my list is Josh Rochelle as a forward. Again, don't laugh. He's just on the list because I just want to mention his name. People will be looking for forwards, so there's going
Very
to be a
long
few
list. Yeah.
as we discuss the teams. So 655k, I'm putting him in hell no. Best season was 2023 where he averaged 71. He had a stretch of 7 games where he averaged 89.7 with an average of 43% CBAs. He won't be getting them again, so we're not picking him. Sam Berry. So I mentioned before I'm pretty hot on him as a mid. Also 655k. He was already the 4th man despite missing the first 6 games of the year. He was ahead of Rankin, who we all talked about as being that kind of mid-forward benefiting from the mid-time. He essentially started really having more CBAs when Crouch left the side in the middle of the year, and priced at 62, there's plenty of value if it all goes right, but he's just a watch for the minute. He only averaged 66 when he had over 70% CBAs, but averaged 76 when he went between 60 and 75% CBAs. So that might be the number we want to see, maybe not all the time in there. I'm not sure of his time on ground percentages, but yeah, I'm excited about him. If we can see him being, 3rd, 4th man in there, I mean, maybe even jumping Peatling, I'd be getting really excited about him as a bit of value in the midfield. And last one on the list, just a little rookie, Sid Draper. I'm happy to lock him into F6 for now. He's 307k. Big fan this year of a lot of the 2nd or 3rd year players. Still at rookie price, kind of having a little bump, being in the system for a bit now. So we saw a lot of good picks last year not play much. I'm thinking Jagger Smith, those types. So hopefully it's a similar story to Curtin, where they kind of stuck him forward in the SANFL, and then this year he got to play some game time and went up 33 points, which is a lot of value. So I'd be happy with him on field as well. But yeah, that's the Crows. That's my list. A bit of a long one, but yeah.
Well, very impressive. I suppose over to the Lions now. I didn't quite go as full on as you just did. That was very impressive.
A little disclaimer, I did go on holiday all of last week and kind of had a lot of nights where I just had to sit on my laptop and I got bored, and fantasy excites me. Look, it may not be this in depth for the rest of my clubs and the rest of the episodes, but yeah. Look, we're just giving you the best information you can get on any of the fantasy podcasts.
Yeah, it is exciting times pre-season. Lots to look out for. So, all right, Brisbane Lions. Where to start? We'll look at last year with their kick-ins, for example, because that's where we look for defenders. They had big Dane Zorko. He was obviously get some Zork in your full Zork mode, the button, everything. He was unreal. 136 kick-ins. Sorry, 142 kick-ins, if I will. Played on 136 out of them, so 96%. He's elite. As simple as that. He's an absolute pig. Next was Darcy Wilmot, and then Jasper Fletcher. Interesting to see Jasper Fletcher this year with the kick-ins, because Dan Zorko refers to him as the best player on their team. So whether this is a real I'm pretty sure that's a direct quote as well. Like genuinely, I saw it on 7AFL, if you will. He's actually
there you go.
He holds him quite highly. Zorko does to Fletcher, and so it'd be interesting to see, because Zorko pretty old, is got to be pushing 45. He's
Jeez,
you know what I mean. Yeah, but willing to see if this is a little bit of a pass the mantle over to Jasper Fletcher this year, and whether or not Fletcher gets an increase in the kick-ins. So that's kind of the kick-ins and a little bit of the defenders, but I'm all out of whack with my notes here. What have I said? All right, I'm just going to say everything, and then we'll organise it out in the end. Next is CBAs that I've got written down. The CBAs last year was just pretty solid. It was just Neil, Dunkley, and McCluggage. That was kind of it. They all 81, 75, 73 respectively, and then Will Ashcroft was the next highest with 52 coming in, and that was it. Pretty much, there wasn't really anybody else. Lockie Neal obviously got injured the back part of the season, so that's when Ashcroft got a bit more of a boost in the midfield, and other blokes came in, like Zach Bailey got a little bit of midfield time in the end. But Brisbane, that 2 in a row, going for the three-peat. I don't think they're going to change too much about that midfield group. They're really solid, and I don't see why they wouldn't. The one that excites me about the Lions, and just looking at the CBAs, is Darcy Fort and Big O are the two ruckmans. And, of course, as we all know, the Lions signed big Sam Draper, who is a ruckman, and
Mm.
in fantasy is a ruck forward. So, list of all watch lists, Sam Draper is, if he is the number one rock, he will be a lock in every single person's team. I guarantee it, even
Yep.
with the early buy. I reckon that's just a no-brainer as well. So that is watchable watch. This is what I said, but my notes are not in order. I'm gonna do this better for the next one whilst you go through the next thing. But yeah, that's kind of what I had for the statistic wise on that sort of thing. So what have we written down? Like, I'll just do the ins and outs for the Lions, what they had this year. So the blokes that they got in were Oscar Allen from West Coast, and then they drafted Dan Annable, Cody Curtin, and Kobe Evans, Ty Hayes, Ben Murphy. So a lot of random no-namers who we don't know yet. But once you keep an eye on is Dan Annable, I reckon he was a number 6. I reckon he could do all right. He's an academy player, midfielder. Looks pretty solid. Could get some game time. That's as well as obviously Sam Draper was the free agent pickup that they got as well. And then going out for them was Cal Archie, who was delisted. Sam Day retired. Big O retired. Dev Robinson went to the Eagles along with Starkovich. So not too much that they're missing. Cal Archie, pretty is all right name. He played a lot of games for them. Same as Big O's was their number one ruck, probably. Between him and Fort. So some spots for the new blokes to come in, like Sam Draper, hopefully. So if we look at the list of the players who I would consider a lock in my side, I think going from Brisbane Lions, it's hard to pick them straight away as a lock in your side because they've got that round 2 bye. So they play opening round,
Yeah.
then they've got that opening round against the Bulldogs, and then they play the Swans. Then they have that full that bye, and then it eases up a little bit. They go St Kilda, Collingwood a bit harder, North, and then Melbourne. So it's a pretty good run afterwards there after their bye. I think we definitely could be picking them up after then. So when I'm talking locks, I'm probably talking after that round 2 bye because I just can't, especially with how my luck went and yourself as well last year with picking those early bye players. I'm gonna do my best to just steer clear of all of them. But
Yeah.
blokes that I really like the look of, and dark horses in the sense that they're a little bit of a point of difference players. Hugh McCluggage for me is an absolute gun. Averaged 102 this year. Averaged like high 90s the last 2 years as well. Before that, it's the second highest CBA attended for the Lions, and that's not going to change. Not too many people had him. Like, that's the favourite thing about McCluggage is that when you look at their list and they're Josh Dunkleys and they're Lockie Neals and like the Will Ashcrofts, McCluggage kind of flies under the radar and he's just absolute gun. Like you can't go past him. He is priced at 102, 1,072,000. So up there with any luck, he has a bit of a stinker in the first couple of rounds, and then we can pick him up for a little bit cheaper after that bye would be delightful. But yeah, I've always liked McCluggage. I picked him up halfway through last year, or maybe towards the end of last year, as a point of difference player, and he was outstanding for me. So lots of good omens for McCluggage. Another one that I like is Levi Ashcroft, midfielder.
Okay.
Yeah, because Will Ashcroft, elite, we all know that, but Levi Ashcroft for me, his brother took the leap in his third year. Is he Levi Ashcroft's third year now? I think. Sorry, second year.
Yeah.
Yeah, is it? Either way, he's a
Feel
year
like
older.
you
And
keep talking
I
over.
really think that good potential to absolute breakout seasons. So, I suppose you could class that as a watch list for the potential. But no, I'm extremely confident that Levi Ashcroft will have an excellent year with the Lions this year, and boost that 74 average which he hit last year to a 90 average. I reckon that's my call for Levi. He can easily hit a
Wow.
90 average. If
Was his second year as well. I've just
yes,
searched.
there you go, very good. So yeah, if he can boost that up, even to like high 80s, I still think that's a little bit of value in that, and would be someone that would be willing to pick in my side. As far as locks go, I don't really have too many for the Lions. Like you said, they're all
No,
the
it's
blokes at the
hard with that
top.
early
Like you
buy.
got the early buy, and then like your Josh Dunkley, he's elite, averages 107, but he's priced at 1.128, which is right top of the range. And for the blokes who have
Yeah.
that buy, you're just not looking there. Lockie Neal, I suppose some people could see him as a bit unders because he had a couple of injury games which dropped his average to a 94. He's priced at 992, under $1 million. So I suppose you could see a little bit of value in that, but each to their own
Yeah,
with
possibly.
Bucky Neal. Like, what do you see with him?
Well, I mean, he's had this little preseason mishap. I don't really know how that's going to affect his football. He's, not the captain anymore. I tend to want to stay clear of players who, have some personal issues at the start that kind of puts their head out of the game. But yeah, I mean, at price at 94, there's probably a bit of value in there. I'll quickly see what he's done in past seasons, but he's a top of the line. I mean, 2-time Brownlow medalist. You can't go wrong with him there. But I mean, he's getting old as well, which is another problem. Do they start to look for some of those? Just Levi start to get a bit of midfield time and he goes down. So yeah, he's averaged over 100. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 times. 3 times at the Lions. He is 32 though, so getting up there. But I mean, I don't mind the pick. I think there's a bit of value that you could pick off there. Yeah, I mean, if we're looking at these slightly undervalued premiums, I mean, he's probably similar to like a Butters. He's similarly priced. I think Butters is only 7K more expensive, so I don't mind it. I'd put it on the watch list probably for mine.
No, solid. Well, speaking of watch list, I do have a few blokes on that watch list that I really like the looks of. As I spoke before about Levi Ashcroft with the potential chuck him on the watch list, and Jasper Fletcher I mentioned as well with hopefully having a little bit more of a prominent role in their backline. Like it was all up and around it last year. He wasn't a no-name for sure. Averaged 83, played all 23 games, had the second highest kick-ins, I think. Yeah, third highest kick-ins after Zorko and Wilmot.
Yeah, a bit underrated.
Bit underrated, exactly, and that's what we like in fantasy. Or I doubt he'll be highly owned, so a bit of a point of difference. Unless he has an outstanding preseason and then good opening round, then everyone will have him. But I really think that he could be a 100-point player. Like Zorko. If their roles,
you're going 100 points.
I reckon he could, mate. Because the Lions, they're not getting any worse. Like there's going to be a lot of dead rubber matches with them and the lower sides of the leagues, which is just chip kick around the back. And this average of Fletcher's only happens. He only hits 100 if Zorko's taken a rest. Like if he's taken a foot off and he's not trying to be the pig that he is, like we know he can be. He gets chip kick. Well, I reckon if Jasper Fletcher, Darcy Wilmot, those boys can both see a huge influx in their points, I reckon. I don't think it's completely crazy. I mean, it's preseason. This is the time for crazy calls, but I really do think Fletcher could be an outstanding fantasy player for us this year. And I reckon this time by the middle of the year, we'll all have Jasper Fletcher in our sides as probably one of the top 6 defenders in the league.
Well, I have a question about one more guy in there, who I'm sure you're going to get to, but where does Kitty Coleman fit into all this? I did see a quote, and don't quote me exactly on this, but some were saying he's the fittest he's ever been, he's looking the best he's ever been post-injury. I mean, he has to slot in back there if that's the case, right?
Yeah, and that's the thing with Kitty Coleman's price at 559. Only played the one game last year, got a 73, and some stupid people just jumped on him straight away and got him in for that one game and then had to trade him out.
Yeah, I was so close to doing that.
I actually did. I'm an absolute straight idiot. But no.
Oh, did you?
I did. Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
I thought you were just making fun of people who did it. I didn't think that was.
That was me. Yeah.
Look at this idiot who did it.
Yeah. That was so. Yeah. Look, it's fair to say the fantasy podcast that we did last year, it got me a bit excited, and I started making some more risky calls and some more outlandish calls to try and prove myself.
You want to be that guy that is the first one to do it.
Exactly. You want to have the good calls instead of take those risks and for them to pay off. So we'll see how we go this year. Maybe I won't take too many outlandish calls and just kind of ride the boat. But then again, it's fantasy. It's all for having fun. So.
Well, you had your friend Jared Berry last year from the Lions as well. Who I'm sure that you just don't want to say his name.
Absolutely. Deliberately just skipping over that bloke. Not a word to say there. You want to talk about it?
No, he's far from a lock from my side.
Yeah.
Priced at 85. No. I'm not even going to look sideways.
Yeah, fair enough. No, I'm a big fan of hating Jared Berry, so it comes quite easily and quite naturally to me. But back to Kitty Coleman. Yeah, Kitty Coleman, who I did have in my watch list further down. it's exactly what it is. It's a watch list for Kitty Coleman. If the whispers are true and he plays um to his best that he's ever played before, I know he's an absolute gun, and his earlier seasons he did all right, but he wasn't a breakout player. But I reckon this year, if he's all healthy, why couldn't he? You know, I mean,
Exactly.
trying to get his stats up for last year, but my Wi-Fi's rather slow. Um,
Well, he's priced at 53. After obviously having that 73 in the one game last year. Is there an E in his last name? There must be.
mm,
Coleman. Kitty Coleman. So, I mean, you assume he slots in back there
yeah,
based on what's coming out this preseason. I mean, we'll see in the preseason and whether he's had any, setbacks or anything. But, yeah, so his highest averaging season is 77 back in 2022. We all hope that he took that, he'd take the jump in 2024 when he did his ACL round 1, I think. Oh, no, round
yeah,
0. It was
round
against
zero.
Carlton. Yeah, I
Yeah,
remember that game. Did his ACL then, which was unfortunate. Came back in 2025. Played a little bit of reserves. What did he average in the reserves? He played 5 games and he averaged 79. So yeah, I mean, we all know that he's better than that.
yeah, yeah, for sure. Like, I reckon. Oh, I probably shouldn't make too many outlandish calls, but I reckon he could definitely be 80s, high 80s,
Oh yeah, that's not outlandish
high
at
80s,
all. I don't
high
think.
80s,
I think
90s,
I
yeah,
would put him at 90.
90, yeah, um, easily. Like he strikes me as one of those players that'll be looking for the 1-2s off halfback, getting the extra handballs, the extra kicks, just getting the ball moving, getting it forward, getting it into their forward line. Especially with Oscar Allen in now as well, they've just got more blokes to kick it to. There's more reason to just bomb it in long and fast, and I reckon he'll benefit from that, getting the 1-2 throughout the midfield as well. I really see him as a halfbacker, halfback flank kind of thing, like running off like your Carl Amon, if you will, or who am I thinking of? It doesn't matter. Like one of those, you know what I'm talking. Dan Rioli, that's what I'm thinking. But back when he
There
was
you
good,
go.
not
Yeah.
when he was last year was a bit different at the Gold Coast. But Dan Rioli from the Lions, where he was just getting um uh pass slap, what do you call it? Give and goes. So you give it and get it back. 1-2s. There we go.
Yeah. Yeah. There you
Like there was no tomorrow. I don't know what's going on, bro. But yeah,
go.
he's Kitty Coleman excites me, especially priced
Well,
at
does he
five fifty
excite you
nine.
enough? Does he excite you enough for you to be able to pick him in your opening side with the round 2 bye? I mean, is he enough value that if he plays 2 games, scores a couple of 90s and goes up to, I don't know, 700k, you've already lost 140k of value. I mean, are you willing to take a punt on him in round 0?
You want my honest answer? You want my podcast answer?
what's the, what's the difference?
Oh, the
I mean, we
honest.
always tell the truth on here with exactly every
That
move
is
we're
true.
going to take. We
That
we
is
never
that is
lie
true.
here, right?
Nah, never. Absolutely no chance. I just can't see myself having to go through that round 2 bye again like I did last year. And this is just sure this is me being a little bit weak, but he'd have to score 170 for me to in opening round for me to pick him. I reckon
170.
170. That's the line.
Jeez. Well, I
That's
don't think he's going to do that. I mean, he could. He could do that. Who do they play?
okay.
Brisbane.
Realistically,
They are Brisbane.
120.
Bulldogs.
If he gets
Yeah.
high
Well,
high 110s, mate, I reckon he'll force everybody's hand. But I've got
so
so much trauma with picking so many bye blokes last year, and then all it
yeah.
takes was one injury, and then everything goes out the window. And
Well,
I,
so on that round 2 bye, you've got Collingwood, who we'll talk about later,
yeah,
and Geelong, who are both. I can't think of any defenders from them that you'd probably be really wanting to pick. But you also have Carlton with Nick Newman, who we'll talk about in a sec too.
yeah,
I mean, my gut feeling is you probably only pick one of them. You don't want to have 2. I mean, are you going to count on both your rookie defenders being, still playing in round 2? Do you
mm,
even want to have them on field? I mean, I don't know. There's a lot of things to think about with that. I think you
yeah,
can only pick one, and if I was picking, I would be picking Newman.
yeah,
So, but maybe that makes him more unique. Maybe you want to go Coleman over Newman. He's more value if he's priced at 53 and they both do around the same thing. So, lots of things to think about.
yeah. Well, that slots quite nicely into my hell knows because my hell knows are just bye players in general. So um, the Brisbane Lions is
Fair
a
enough.
hard
It's
sell
a good take.
for myself. But hell knows for the Lions for me would be Dane Zorko, just because I think he is
Yeah.
going to be slowing down, and like I said, a little bit of that hand the reins over kind of year for him. I could be
Yeah.
wrong. The bloke could. Like, I mean, LeBron's still playing at 41. I know you're not a basketball dude, but I'm sure you get that reference. Like he's,
I do get the reference.
um, I just it could be done. What's he do out up at the Lions? He's played every game the last 2 years.
Yeah, well, we said this about him at the start of last year after he had that really good 2024. He's probably going to, he won't do this again.
Mm,
And he did it again. So does he do it again?
yeah, it's. I guess we'll just have to wait and see. Jim in the ocean type stuff, but would
Mm,
hell knows. Other than Zorko, the rest of them are. There's not too many fantasy relevant players outside of
no.
you got your Dunkley, McCluggage, Lockie Neal, Will Ashcroft right at the top. And then you got Jasper Fletcher and like Levi Ashcroft, Darcy Wilmot. They're kind of the mid prizes. And then of course Sam Draper, who I mentioned before. And then down even lower, you got your Kitty Coleman at 559 and Kai Lohman. Don't sleep on
Yeah,
him. We all had him every now and then. It's priced at
we did. Yeah.
486 if he does anything, but I don't really see it. As far as value goes down the bottom end, I got really nothing for you other than that Dan Annable. I just it's hard to crack into a premiership team, especially if we're
Yeah,
going back to
exactly.
back. They're not going to look to
Yeah.
change too much, and there's not too many outs that they didn't cover. Like I said, you got Kalachi, Oscar McInerney, Sam Day, Dev Robinson, Starcevic, but the ins that they got, they're not really too many spots, and the blokes that were next up,
No.
they're playing before those guys anyway. So
Yeah.
I guess that's kind of it for the Lions as far as value goes. But yeah,
Yeah. There you go. That's the Lions.
solid.
All right. 2 down, 4 to go. Now, this one, I didn't go super in depth with this, but it's my club. I've got the Carlton Blues. That they have my heart, and yeah, let's go through some CBAs. So Paddy Cripps and Hewitt were the main two men in there at 487 and 467 CBAs. Chera and Walsh were there too, despite some longish injuries. Cooper Lord and Zach Williams floated in there to fill their absence. I think if Chera and Walsh can put together full years, and particularly Walsh, then they could present, some good scoring, be good picks. Cooper Lord should also be in the mix. Campbell Chesser will also be in there, who I'll talk about a bit later. Carlton are looking to inject some speed into their side this year, so just watch for him. Jagger Smith is the obvious one at a 230k mid after doing his ACL last year. I mean, it's the biggest lock of all locks. He's the first player I'll put in my side, really. And he'll make up a lot of CBAs this year as well. I would probably say is the fifth man behind Cripps, Hewitt, Chera, Walsh. So there's that. Kick-ins, Adam Sard reigned last year with 85, and then Mitch McGovern 35 and Ollie Hollins 27. Not much to talk about here. Sard always kind of sits around that 65, 75 mark as a scorer. He's not super accumulative, so I guess the only thing is Nick Newman coming in next year probably takes a few kick-ins, similar to what he would have done in 2024, which I actually don't have written down, but I'll just quickly check through what Nick Newman did in 2024. 64 kick-ins, just second to McGovern's 69, who McGovern, I don't know if he'll get as much game time this year, so yeah, expect Newman to be up there. Ruck contest, so this is interesting because the Blues did have Tom DeConning depart, so he had 401 CBAs with 1,381 ruck contests, 512 hit-outs. So he only went 37% of his ruck contests he got a hit-out, which is interesting. But you would think Mark Pitnet will probably take the main ruck contest now. So he's a 671k ruck. Liam Reedy is another one who's come in at 394k ruck forward. So he could take that role as well. Both are super relevant this year, I think. Will all the rucks take a slight hit in points? And if so, are we just better to go with, value guys like this who, will have a slight uptick anyways? Is this the only value we can find? Or is it too risky? Because if they do fail, there's not much else to go to. Or is there enough to go to from there? I mean, we have guys like Draper, who you spoke about before. We have Nick Bryant, who I'll speak about when we go through Essendon. It's a big question, I think. But Pitnet and Reedy are both on the watch list. So role changes, I mean, there's not much. Expect the CBA mix to stay similar. Chess is the only one I'd add to it. Pinch hitting with Jagger, obviously. Florent, who came in, should take a spot on the wing. And Ollie Hollands probably will move back there again. I think he'll come out of defence, I reckon. So let's talk the ins and outs, because that's the big thing. So lots of changes. I've written a big list.
Yeah, right.
Let's slam through this. So Harry Dean should get a spot at some point. He's shown he wants to play round one. He's a 342k defender. I'm probably not super keen on him. Pick 3, but key defenders aren't the best for scoring. And he's almost max for those draftees being pick 3, so I'd pick better options. Ollie Florent will be a watch on the roll. So he is a 629k mid. If he gets a half back roll with the likes of Hollands possibly moving up the ground, he could provide some upside priced at 60, but I don't see him going above 80, especially with Newman coming back, who will take a lot of that as well. So probably a no. Campbell Chess is one I'm very interested in, priced at 53. If he gets midfield time at all in the best 23, I think he could easily go 75 plus. I'd probably be looking at it from M6 to M8. And mid only kind of sucks, 555k. If he was, a forward or a defender, I'd be absolutely locking him in. Jack Eisen will probably need some more developing before he gets game time. He's a 230k mid, but he could play this year. Liam Redio, as I said before, will be interesting. I think I will have him as my R3 if he does get any game time, if I can be sure that he's going to play, even if it's as a forward at what would it be, F7.
Yeah, right.
So he's just above rookie price, but still below 400k. If you have the money spare after making your team, I think you could definitely pick him. So he's 394k ruck forward. Ben Ainsworth is priced at what he's priced at. No go there. Will Hayward, similar story. I could see a bit of upside, but I probably wouldn't go there either. And Taylor Byrne has apparently impressed during preseason and could play, considering Motlop's done his ACL. So there is that small forward spot in the side ready, but I don't think he'll be in the side round one, so we're not picking him either. On to slightly maybe the more interesting is the outs. So Tom DeConning leaves a huge share of points behind to Pitnet and Reedy. He averaged 84 over 22 games with some big-ish scores in there, 7 games over 100. So watch as well if Radio Pitnet plays solo ruck. And if as well Harry Mackay, who's an 821k forward, is playing second ruck. He could have an uptick in points through that. And he could also benefit from the departure of Charlie Curnow, who also left. He averaged 65, so not much, but it's still something. He was always the main target, so watch now for Mackay to be that guy. Maybe he stays in the forward line a bit more instead of working up the ground. So priced at 78, I could probably see Mackay going up to 90, and that's still unlikely. But what is it worth in a thin forward line? Maybe that is the value that we're looking for.
Yeah, fair
Corey
enough.
Jordan, Will White, and Jesse Motlop don't leave much to anyone as a small forward, but 53 games is what they made up together last year, so that's a lot of market share for some good Carlton players. Ainsworth and Hayward probably take that up a lot, being the 2 new forwards in. Possibly Frankie Evans, who had a good patch at the end of last year, so none of them are relevant, but I mean, if you're looking at draft forwards, they probably could have a bit of an uptick in points. Sam Doherty retired and will almost definitely be lapped up by Newman as a 753k defender, or, Hollands will take his points on the wing and Newman will take Hollands' points on that half back, so his points will go to Newman anyway. Florent could also be a little bit of a beneficiary, so watch for that too. Jack Silvani, who played as a key defender, did leave as well. It would really only leave points for the second key defender. So Harry Dean, maybe Lewis Young or Brody Kemp if he does stay in defence. The rest of the players don't really matter much. They lost Fantasia, Elijah Hollands. Elijah Hollands and Will White could be back and probably will be as well. They do have 2 list spots opened up, so don't be surprised if they play again. Jackson Binns got delisted, Alex Chincotta delisted, and Harry Lemmy delisted as well. So that's the ins and outs. Whew, had a lot to get through there, but that's probably one of the bigger teams, which is interesting because it means that a lot's going to change this year for the Blues, I think, and a lot of players are going to get thrown around, and we might see some different scores. So let's go through all the players. Let's talk the midfielders first. George Hewitt, 1.03 million. I'm putting a hell no on him. We're probably just not picking him. He had as much midfield time as he'll ever get last year, and that was with Chera and Walsh injured. Only way I'd think about picking him is if Cripps got injured, because he kind of takes that contested role, but there's just not enough meat on the bone, price at 98. So we're not picking him, but a great draft pick. Adam Chera's next up at 997k. So he actually had a really good year last year. I kind of forgot how good of a pick he was. I know I had him. Did you have him?
I can't remember.
I don't know if you did. I feel like I would have made fun of you more if only I had him. So maybe you did, but
yeah,
I don't know. But yeah, I see him as the same as Hewitt. Essentially had a good season, averaging 95, which is what he's priced at, and I can't see him going over 100, so not enough meat on the bone and very injury prone. I'll skip just below this next guy to Patrick Cripps at 931k. He's a slight watch, so he was down 12 points last year to 88.8 after averaging 100. He's just got a new PB in the 2 kilometer time trial, so maybe a fitter, speedier Cripps is what Carlton are looking at. But what I found interesting was he's gone from 80s to 100 every year since 2021. So from 2021 to 25, he averaged 81, 102, 88, 100, and 88 again. So can he go back to that 100 average is my question. I don't see it unlikely. But the big midfielder we'll talk about, who should be a lock in everyone's sides, he will be in mine, is Sam Walsh at 977k. So it's not as simple as locking him in, because he does have the round 2 bye, as we spoke about before. So you'll only get 1 score from him and 2 price rises before he has a bye. But we have to question what he will need to average over the first 2 rounds to justify picking him and holding. I mean, if he scores 2 120s, he'll rocket up to above 1 million, which at that point, is it really that much value? Obviously, if he goes 140 plus in round 0, we're all picking him no matter what. And for the year, I probably see him averaging 100 to 105 if he's fit, especially with Carlton's new game plan that really kind of centres around him as a speedy, ball-winning, running around the ground midfielder. But yeah, that buy is the only question that I have. Are you going to lock him in round 0? Is he in your starting side?
I'm going the same as before, mate. Probably not, unless, like you said, unless he hits like a 140. But yeah, I don't know. I've really got to have a think to myself in my own time about what I'm going to do with my fantasy team this year, because every time I hear early buy, I just get scared, especially that round 2 one. Like, yes, it's only one game,
Yeah.
but cheapest. Like, it's just, I had such a shit year last year, and I was playing catch up from round 1, after I had all those injuries. Like, I just gotta put some more time into thinking about it. But every time I've thought about my team so far, and the fantasy game comes out later this week, so I'll have some time to look around and see what it actually looks like. But the blokes that I have in mind are all teams that don't have that early buy, because there's lots of really good players and value players that we can get in other teams that don't have the early buys. But I think I might just stack my team with those and then trade from there. But
Yeah,
I can't deny that Sam Walsh will be in my team at some point this year. I reckon he's a gun.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, another guy that I'm going to try and convince you to get in your side is another key forward, Terry Mackay at 821k. So I've put him in the see more category, but he's just about a watch. So I think I just need to see more if we want the value. But if we want to just pick him as a solid forward, I don't see him doing under what he did, except for maybe the fact that Kerno gone means that he has to kind of stay in the goal square, which I don't think is the case anyway. So Harry was already outscoring Kerno by 10 to 15 points. So Kerno leaving's big, but not too big. It's more a role thing. He can be a little injury prone as well, and I'm not sure there's enough meat on the bone if he does kind of just go 85. That's only 7 points upside. And a lot of these guys that I'm talking about with Carlton are only 5 or 10 points of value if they do what we hope they do. And then if we factor in what they'll probably do, not everyone can have a better season than they did last year. It's not going to be worth it. So it's not a hell no, because I'm watching if he does get the second ruck time. In that case, I'd probably be interested, as he probably goes closer to 90. So if, Pitnet or Reedy is solo rucking and Harry's that second ruck, then I'm very interested. And will be, he'd be more close to a lock. In my opinion, especially in this thin forward line. So I did have a look at some stats with him with no Kerno. Rounds 21 to 24 last year, he averaged 95 with no Kerno. Again, only 4 games, so a small sample size. And he did kick 5 goals in those 4 games. But, yeah.
Fair enough. I mean,
I like him. I
think.
There's
always the same as I said before with the key forwards. But no, you're right with Harry, Charlie Kerno coming out. Harry Mackay has more access to goals and more access to the ball, I reckon. So I reckon you make some good points there. Yeah.
Well, next on my list is Nick Newman, the value. Well, I say value of the year. Him and Walsh and kind of Jagger are. There's a lot in this side, I think. So Newman, averaged 0 last year with the ACL. He's priced at 71 to 753k. I'm putting him in the lock. Similar to Walsh, he's so much value, having averaged 102 in his last season in 2024, and being priced at 72. That's 30 points upside if he does what he did 2 years ago. So he'll most likely be a top 6 defender. I don't really see a world where he's not. It's pretty thin in the defense as well. I think he goes 100 plus this year. I don't think that's outrageous to say. It's just the round 2 buy that sucks. But I think we can cover him, and I think I'm happy to go him over Coleman, who we spoke about before.
Yeah.
If it does take him a few games to get back into things, like if he scores an 80 in round 0, I might be more willing to wait. It's him or Coleman, really. If he scores an 80 and Kitty scores 120, I'm happy to lock in Kitty and just get Newman after the bye because his price won't go up that much, price at 71. But
Yeah.
I seriously see Newman, scoring close to 100 round 1, I think. He is playing, we do play Sydney, so he'll be back up at the SCG where he started his career, so I could see that being a big game for him too. But think about that. It's crazy that we're talking about his floor being 10 points over what he's priced at. So
Yeah,
even his
that's
floor
true.
is still 10 points value. I think that you just, if you're not picking him at some point, no, if you're not picking him either to start in your side or after the bye, you've already lost. I'm just going to say that now.
Yeah, that's not too outlandish to say either. I reckon it's fair enough. I reckon I'll definitely be getting him after the bye.
For sure. I'm not sure what I'll do. It is hard to talk about this stuff without the game out. So next podcast we will have the game out to talk about. But yeah, I'll go through Campbell Chesser first before I get to the 2 rucks. He's 555k, so I'm putting a watch on him. He's not quite a lock. If by the round 2 bye I can see that he's locked into at least 30-40% midfield time, I'm happy to launch into him priced at 59. He's the type of guy that they're going to want the ball in the hands of. He's a good user. I could see him going 75 in a good role, but a straight mid is just slightly less appealing. So you just watch him. If he does, start to get a lot of midfield time, I'd be happy to go into him. And I think he was like a top 10 pick or something, and has just been injured. So he's got the talent to do it as well. Yeah, but let's go into the 2 rucks then. Mark Pittonet and Liam Reedy. So Mark Pittonet at 671k is a watch. So I'm just putting a watch on him. I'm relatively hot on him. He had his best year last year, averaging 70, which is not great. But now he gets the main ruck role. He's never really had that for a full year. Carlton's midfield as a supporter, I think, benefits from him being in there. I mean, we have one of the best contested midfields in the competition. I don't know why we were playing De Koning as this, it just didn't complement, midfield to ruckman. I think Pitto does perfectly. So I think he takes a little off what his score would have been if there weren't new ruck rules because of them. But he's taking the main role, which can be 20 points upside. So I think you just have to weigh out whether it's worth paying up when most rucks will probably go down. Are we going to pay out for English or Gawn or Sherry if they're all going to go down 5 points? Or would you rather take some value at a huge risk in a guy like Pitto? But yeah, watch for the role. I'd want to be 100% certain that he has the role before picking him as well. But Liam Reedy, I'm happy to just lock him in, like I said before, at F7 or R3. Average 103.9 in the waffle last year and 95.7 there in 2024. He's never had the chance to play ruck properly. I don't know if he'll get that number 1 spot, but I think he'll be in the side, definitely. At a slightly higher than rookie price, I think I'm just happy to spend up on a guy who, if he gets game time, even if it's as a ruck forward, I think he averages 80, which is huge value. Yeah, that's Carlton. That's
Solid.
That's all the relevant players, I think. Anything you want to say on any of them?
No, I think the only one I was a little bit interested was Ben Ainsworth. Do you have much to say at all about him? Or do you reckon he's just kind of fly under the radar as a forward?
I think that as a forward, some might look for him in the forward line. He did average, I think, 80 a few years ago at Gold Coast. And again, with Motlop being out, he could be a beneficiary of... I mean, I think he was going to be in the side anyway. Sorry, 76, his highest averaging season was in 2022. And he backed that up with 74, but then 65 and 58 in the last 2 years. I don't know. New club, maybe. I'm not sure. Again, we're not starting with the round 2 bye, but maybe it's a watch from after then. And I also did just realise that I completely forgot to put Jagger Smith on this list. Obviously, he's a lock, 230k mid. He's going to play. Yeah. He'll probably win the Rising Star. We were all super excited about him last preseason. So, again, like I said before, he's the first guy I'm going to pick in my side at M8. I'm happy to have him on field too.
Yeah.
So
I reckon I'll finally pick a bye player in him for sure. But yeah. All right. Shall we all do Collingwood? We're just about to hit an hour, so I'll just speed through this. Nice and quick to the point, I should say.
Well, not to cut you to the chase, but there's not too much to talk about with Collingwood.
That's what I was going to say.
They're pretty kind of relevant.
They got that early bye again, so we're not really looking to pick any of them. And the only guy that we would be looking to pick is Nick Dacos. Averaged 108 last year, and probably will do exactly the same this year, if not higher, if not lower. But I don't see him going drastically over 108 or drastically under 108 either. He's priced it where he's
105
priced.
to 110 is
Yeah,
probably where I'd put
exactly.
him, to be honest.
He's priced exactly where he's going to hit, and he's going to hit it. So if you want to pick him over a Jordan Dawson who doesn't have a buy, it's up to you. The one bloke that I like a lot is Darcy Cameron. He's obviously coming off that buy. It's impossible to pick him, but he's priced at 102, just over $1 million, and I reckon that we don't know too much about the new ruck rules at all, but I reckon this will benefit his game a lot because he scores most of his points around the ground with the kick mark rather than the hit outs. So from the sounds of it, the hit outs will be there'll be less hit outs for the ruckmans to grab. So with any like Darcy Cameron benefits, but once again, we just don't know. Josh Dacos was a great pick last year. You had him. He's priced at 988 this year. Could do it. I reckon he probably will as well, but I hope for their backline that it's Dan Houston. I mean, as a Port fan, I don't hope this at all, but I hope that Dan Houston is able to play better than what he did last year. Like, hopefully that was just because he was a gun at Port Adelaide, averaging high 80s, 90s. Had some massive 130 bombs. I remember for Port Adelaide, like just great player, but just couldn't get it done at the Pies. Averaged 66, which is well under. And so he's now priced at just over 700k. Straight defender. I reckon chuck him on your watch list. But it was really disappointing from Houston because we were all hoping that he'd be the gun defender for the Pies, and he just wasn't fantasy wise. So yeah, we'll have to wait and see what happens with him. What did I have for my value? Didn't have too many people on the value list. Just a couple of the young blokes that drafted, like Sam Swaddling. I like. He's a midfielder. And who was the other guy? Zach McCarthy. Yeah. He was on their list for a little. I think they got him in the draft, but yeah, priced at 230 again as a ruck forward. I reckon if he gets some game time, could chuck him on your R3. He might get a little bit of cash, but we'll see. Like I said, it's a.
Well, do you reckon he'll play as a key forward? Because they lost Mason Cox and Brody Myercheck, and they were already kind of thin in that line.
Yeah, I reckon they go
step in for a role there.
They could. I reckon they go Charlie West before him. Just because Charlie West played unreal in the VFL. Like I think he averaged like 2 to 3 goals a game. He played the one game against West Coast, kicked the goal and got injured, subbed out. So I reckon he is probably their next key forward man up. But then again, we'll see. There's not really much to talk about. They got rid of Mason Cox, Charlie Dean, Will Hoskin Elliott retired. So did Tom Mitchell. And Myercheck got traded to Melbourne. So there is definitely some spots in the forward line. And they only got draft picks. So, like you said, there's not really much to talk about with the Pies.
That's really not, is there?
They were just like, it's Nick Dacos. It's maybe Josh Dacos. It's maybe Darcy Cameron. Kind of it. Like your Harvey Harrison, Reece McInnes blokes who played in 2025. They could be of some value, maybe. I think they're priced around
Reece McInnes is in
rehab
now, I think, for his ACL. And I did read as well, Dan Houston has been restricted following surgery for his hip. So he did play in match sim recently in the B team. So I'm not sure what that means for his spot at the club or whether it was just because he was injured. But a couple of watches there. But who was the other one? Oh, Charlie West is obviously, I don't know what he injured last year, but he's obviously over it.
Yeah.
Not listed on any injury list. So, 230k forward, that could maybe be exciting.
Yeah, I suppose.
Possibly.
Yeah.
Again, it's just hard with that round 2 buy.
Exactly. And it's just, you really got to see. If anyone I'm picking out of their rookies is probably Sam Swaddling. I think that's how it's pressed. Like, he got 35 disposals average in the waffle last year.
Average?
In the waffle.
You said average.
Average.
Not like in a game. You said average. Oh.
Bro was averaging 35 disposals.
Okay, well now I'm interested.
Yeah, I think he averaged like 115. Let me look it up. Yeah, 35 disposals have an average of 116.6.
Jesus.
Yeah. That's in the. Hey, what's that? West Perth's Colts. I'm pretty sure that's a waffle team. Honestly.
Yeah, right.
Wouldn't know. but played in the under 18 champs, scored 80s. So he can play footy. The kid can play. Simple as that. So
There you go.
he's the one that I'm watching for their rookies. So yeah, but honestly,
Interesting.
there's just absolutely naff all to talk about the Pies.
Yeah. That's,
Um,
I've kind of dogged you there, giving you Collingwood for
nah,
on your list.
that's all right.
Not much to talk about.
Not really. I mean, like, what else can I say? Jordan De Goey might be good, and he's got the forward
Yeah,
status,
he could
but you
present
never
a
know.
little bit of value, I guess.
The only reason I bring him up is because he's got that forward status, and we're a bit short-handed. But
Yep.
there's not a lot to talk about.
No,
And
I
it's
mean, even though he is injured, he's still 812K, which is like, that's still getting up there. Price is 77,
yeah,
and I don't see him really going above 90.
yeah,
And that's if he's not injured at all. So
yeah,
interesting.
yeah. And that's the thing. It's early because he's in the forward line, but you never know. You never know. I guess we'll just have to wait and see. And that's kind of what it is, especially with these buy teams. You don't want to launch into a bloke
Yeah.
unless you're 100% sure. Like, because if they fail you in the first 2 rounds, you're gonna have to trade them out anyway.
Yeah.
So it's like whether you were planning on riding them or not already, whether you're planning on getting rid of them anyway in the first place, it doesn't really matter because you're just having a double excuse. But yeah, the early buy, especially because the 3 teams, we've got 3 of the 4 teams on the round 2 buy that we've done today. Like there's other buys. There's the round
Yeah.
3, 4, 5. I think it
Yeah.
goes up to round 5, maybe even round 6. Nah, just round 5.
Let me get it up quickly. Yeah, round 4. So
Round 4.
4 teams on the round 2 buy, 4 teams on the round 3 buy, and then 2 teams on the round 4 buy. So
Yeah,
that round 4 with GWS and St Kilda is kind of the good buy.
yeah,
That's not too bad, but
yeah.
yeah.
But-
I mean, yeah, we've gone through some buy teams today. It's been a bit tricky, but that just about does it. I think we'll be
Yeah.
back soon. Well, at the end of the week, we'll be back. We'll go through the next 4 teams. So that'll be Essendon, Fremantle, Gold Coast, Geelong, I believe.
Yeah, I think so.
And we'll be back doing the same thing, doing our club previews. And we'll be
Yeah.
doing this hopefully when the game's opened, and we can actually have some teams talk about who's in our sides and not as well. And yeah, we'll be coming at you with plenty more preseason content this preseason, getting you ready. I think it's like 48 days until.
And cancelled. Let's go.
Not opening round. That's Carlton Richmond until.
Yeah.
No, maybe it is opening round. Maybe it's like 50 days until lockout or something. So we're getting close.
Getting
We're getting
close.
So
I like it. Well, like
keep listening. Keep playing.
like the St Kilda Giants buy. Goodbye, and we'll see you next time.
Jesus, that was so terrible.
Yeah, there's nothing really to say. It's preseason. I hope that your holidays were on the mark.
And not off the mark, and we'll see you back at the end of the week, going through our next 4 teams of our team previews.
See you.
Bye.